What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're going to talk about the new patch notes that just dropped and a potential new build that could be coming out here for Dark Ranger Marksman Hunter. Could look really, really cool. I'm going to just explore what the build could look like. We're going to talk about the buffs. I'm going to show you some numbers on the dummies just to give us an idea of what these buffs actually mean. And yeah, let's see if this is potentially something that could happen. Yo, I really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. I gotta get some coffee. Bye. On Tuesday, because this is happening on Tuesday. This is happening March 25th with the reset for North America and then obviously Europe one day later. Let's look at Marksman Hunter. What is actually happening here? Well, they're saying Dark Ranger's performance is lower than they expected, so they're making some substantial adjustments, and they are. First of all, explosive shot and volley are going up. That affects every build, and I do think because of the current tier set bonus for Marksman Hunter, which launches an explosive shot at your enemy, I do think that that's going to give you an incentive to take volley and also probably to take salvo. I think a lot of people aren't taking salvo, and a lot of people aren't even taking volley. There are different builds out there, but I suspect that getting extra volley damage right now, my volleys in Mythic Plus are doing around 5 to 6% of my damage. I think. So, yeah, with the buff to volley, I do think it's going to be taken in a lot more builds. 25% is pretty good. Explosive shot going up again. Another reason to take salvo, and as the tier set, like I said, it's firing explosive shot as well. This is pretty good. Now, for the Dark Ranger stuff. Black Arrow damage going up by 50%. That's very necessary because Black Arrow actually does less damage than Kill Shot, which is the ability it replaces. So it's kind of dumb. Obviously, there's other synergy, but like Black Arrow should just straight up do more damage than Kill Shot if you're going to spec into a tree that's designed around it. Black Arrow periodic effect is going up by 40%. 40% longer. That's really good, and it means that your dogs are going to spawn more often. You're going to get more Shadow Hounds because your Black Arrow is just going to be ticking for longer, and your Shadow Surge is going to proc more often. So it's hard to calculate how good either of those talents are going to be. I didn't include that in my number calculation, which I'll tell you in a second, but both of those things are going to be going up because the duration of Black Arrow is going up. Phantom Pain is going up by 3 times 3 on Phantom Pain. This is insane. This is whenever you fire an aim shot, it replicates. It's going to be now 24% of the damage from the aim shot is now going to go into targets that have your Black Arrow on them, which again, like we just said, the actual Black Arrow dot is going to last for 14 seconds instead of 10. So more damage from Phantom Pain as well, because less of your Black Arrows will be falling off by the time you're firing your aim shot. So again, I didn't even throw that into the calculation, but it's going to be there. Bleak powder damage doubled, which is insane. This is a really, really big amount of damage here. That's over here. Whenever you have trick shots up and you fire a Black Arrow, boom, you're going to get a bunch of extra damage. And then withering fire, when you're inside your true shot, you're not going to have overlapping Black Arrows. It's going to guarantee that the extra Black Arrows that you fire are going to go to targets that don't have them yet. So massive buffs here to the actual Dark Ranger tree. Now, what does that actually look like? Well, if I do some target dummy testing, let me just look at this really quickly. So here is a test that I just did. This is really cool to look at. So number one, you can see bleak powder damage is already really high, and that's because I was prioritizing pressing my kill shot or Black Arrow when I had trick shots available. And I also had volley up. You can see volley did about 3.4% of my damage, so that's going up by 25%. You can see that right there. Phantom Pain is going to go up, multiply by 3. Instead of 4% of my damage, this is going to be 12%. That's insane. That is such a massive damage bonus. Instead of 8%, it's going to be 24. 8 times 3 is 24. So we're multiplying this by 3. Black Arrow damage going up by 50%. Bleak Powder doubling. Instead of 12%, it would have been 24% of my damage. Bleak Powder would have been at the very top right there. The Dark Hound damage would have been up because the duration of the Black Arrow is longer, right? Shadow Surge damage would have been up because the duration of the Black Arrow is longer, so it has more opportunity to trigger. Bleak Arrows wouldn't change at all. That would stay the same. But almost all the shadow damage that I'm doing here is going to go up, okay? And I did a little calculation right here. So right on this particular pull, I was doing 4 million damage to 5 target dummies. If we look at this again, bleak powder 100%, black arrow 50%, phantom pain times 3. If we do these multiplications here, just based on the numbers that I did here on this overall damage, you're going to add another 65 million damage to bleak powder. You're going to add 50% of the damage from black arrow, so that's 34 million plus 16 million, right? That gets it to 50 million. Phantom pain is going up by 3, so you go from 22 million to 66 million, because that's how much damage that was doing. Phantom pain did about 22 million there. Multiplying that by 3. Again, shadow surge and the dogs, I'm not calculating here, okay? So if we do the full calculation, that takes us from 552 million damage total, which is this number over here. Okay, we're adding 114 million, which is me just adding up the 65, the 50, and the 22. I think I added that correctly. 114 million. Yeah. So we're adding that together. Now our new number is 666 million. And if we do that divided by the total combat time, which was 136 seconds right here, 2 minutes and 16 that's again 120 seconds plus 16 seconds, 136. We're going to get an extra, we're going to get 4.9 million DPS. So instead of us having done 4 million DPS, we're going to basically do 5 million, probably more than 5 million, because again, I just have to keep stressing, the dogs are not part of this calculation in terms of the increase to the dogs, and the increase to shadow surge is not part of this calculation because I can't do it yet. So we would go from 4 million DPS, which is this number, 4.06. We're going to go all the way up to basically 5 million. So you're going to add like 20 to 25% more damage from the Dark Ranger tree than what you're getting right now, which is a substantial amount of damage. That is a lot. 20 to 25% of your overall damage is going to go up by that amount. So I don't know if this is the correct way to build this. It's potentially, you potentially don't need Deadeye. The only other thing to think about is that your target selection is going to have to be something that you account for. When you're in the middle of a pack, if there's an enemy that's at full health or an enemy that's at the execute range of health, you're going to have to prioritize shooting that target with your black arrow for sure, because you need to press this button as often as you possibly can, because it's going to be doing a lot of damage. It's going to be adding the dot. It's going to be summoning the dogs. It's going to be proccing shadow surge damage. It's going to be proccing bleak powder damage. Like, you have to press this button. It becomes the priority, which for some people I know is not going to be an enjoyable time, because you're used to just going multi-shot, aim shot, multi-shot, rapid fire, multi-shot, aim shot. Like, that's what you're doing, right? And now you're not doing that. So the priority now basically becomes multi-shot, black powder, black arrow, then you use your aim shot, then you use your rapid fire. You have to weave in the black arrows while you have the trick shot buff available because of bleak powder. I know it's a lot of different words, but that's how that's ended up working. But just the numbers themselves are going to be insane. Instead of this doing 400,000 damage, it's going to do 800,000 damage. Instead of this doing 390,000 damage, it's going to do like 550,000 damage. It's going up by 50%, right? All this stuff going up is really, really strong, and I think it's going to be very powerful. Now, I'll show you the rotation really quickly here. Again, this is kind of scuffed. I don't know if these talents are completely correct. We'll have to wait and see, but we're going to try it here, and I'll see how much damage I can actually end up pumping out. So we're going to go explosive shot, pop my trinket and true shot with a volley, and then I'm going to double black arrow into probably a rapid fire, okay? So here we go. We're going to go like this. Volley, black arrow into a rapid fire. Then we're going to multi-shot, aim shot. Aim shot again. Again, these dots would last a lot longer, right? So just keep that in mind. It's also not spreading my black arrows correctly there. I don't know why, but it's not really doing a good job of that. We still do multi-shot, aim shot, but again, whenever you do multi-shot and you get that trick shot effect, you need to consume your black arrow first. Before you consume the trick shot, you need to fire out black arrow first. That's what you got to do. Very important. I know these mobs are at like execute range, so I'm getting maximum value here. I get that. I'm cheating a little bit here. In the Mythic Plus environment, it wouldn't be too different to this, because you would be basically targeting enemies that have that are at low health or enemies that are at high health. You want to make sure you do that. So there we go. We got trick shot. There's a proc right there. And then we'll keep going here. I'll get back to one more true shot, I guess, and then we'll see. It definitely changes the way you play the game. It really fundamentally changes the way that you play the game, and I'm not sure how much I really love it. It's definitely different. Sitting on your trick shot is the weirdest feeling in the world to me, but it is what you have to end up doing. Because you get that bleak powder damage, which is really good. You want to make sure you're sitting on your trick shot until all of your charges of black powder are gone. You're basically sitting on it, so it's just a little bit weird, that is for sure. But inside true shot, you get a big burst of damage here, and again, it's not spreading them out the way it should be, so just keep that in mind. It's supposed to be spreading my black arrows around, and it's really not doing a good job of that. So, but anyway, that's it. That's how that works. So we settled around 4.5 million. You can see bleak powder once again. If you're doing it correctly, bleak powder does so much damage. This is just having trick shots available and pressing black arrow does a bleak powder application. This is going to do 24%, almost 25% of my damage on Tuesday instead of 12.5%. So this alone is going to skyrocket your damage. Black arrow is going to do, instead of 6.5, it's going to be basically 10% of your damage. So it goes right up here now with the master marksman dot. The dark hounds are definitely going to go up. Shadow search is going to go up for sure because of the duration of the arrows on the enemy. Phantom pain, instead of 3.4% of my damage, you're going to take that to 3, 6, 9. It's about just over 10% of my damage. So again, it's up with the master marksman thing. Again, it's way up there. So I think there's going to be a very interesting build here that's going to do damage. My final sort of interest in this build is that it might buff up your single target damage, which could be really, really cool, and is something that is sorely lacking for marksman hunters. So let's say at the end of the day, this Dark Ranger idea is still worse than Sentinel in AoE, right? Let's say the build is still worse than Sentinel in AoE, but it's only worse by like 10%. And then in return, you're getting a big boost to your single target damage. Like let's say 30% more single target damage or 40% more single target damage because of all the black arrow damage and the dots and everything that's going on. I don't know if that's actually what's going to end up happening, but I would hope that a tree that's focused on kill shot would actually, and giving you constant resets on kill shot, would actually give you more damage on single target, because that is what we really are lacking. I think that would be super cool. I can try it on single target here just to show you guys. I actually haven't done this yet, so we'll see. Maybe the damage is completely horrible, but we'll do the same thing. We're gonna go explosive shot. We'll pretend like it's a boss. So we're gonna go explosive shot, signet, we'll volley here. And then we'll do a rapid fire. You basically would just want to press kill shot whenever it comes off cooldown, right? And, you know, that's not bad. That's with true shot, of course. Our damage is going to go down after we're out of this cooldown. But we'll see. I mean, maybe it's the case that your single target damage will go up a little bit. I would really appreciate that. If that was the case, that would be really, really cool from Blizzard. And it might make this tree worth doing, right? If the AoE damage is like 10% worse, but the single target damage goes up, I don't know. Maybe that's a good case to be made for running this tree. Maybe it won't actually go up, and it's all just copium from me, but we'll have to wait and see. That could happen, and if it does, I'm very excited because this tree is really fun. I think I wanted to play this tree like a long time ago, but it just ended up being the case that Sentinel has always been better, right? And finally, they're finally buffing this tree. Dark Ranger is getting a lot better, and we're going to have to wait and see how much that's actually going to matter. Again, you can see my damage here. This is going to go way up. We did about, what, 1.1 million, 1.2 million by the end there. Black arrow damage is going to go up by 50%. So it's going to go from 14% all the way up to, you're going to add 7, right? So 21% of our damage there. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think that Black Arrow, or Dark Ranger rather, is going to end up being a competitive tree? I suspect it's still going to be potentially a little worse than Sentinel, but I really have to try it for myself to see how it feels in the dungeon. It is certainly going to be a playstyle that you're going to have to get used to. It's very different. And having to hold your trick shots and not consume them right away, that's something you're going to have to get used to. It's very weird. And potentially the talents that I'm running could all be wrong. Maybe headshot is a lot better than Deadeye. Maybe you don't take this at all and you take a second point in bullseye like you always have. Maybe you take salvo just because of the explosive shot. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to have to test it, and I will let you guys know once I have a build that's actually working really well and is potentially just as competitive as Sentinel. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one.